Life doesn't test your strength with one hard blow. It wears you down with storm after storm. Are you a spring that bounces back or an oak that never breaks? Stay with me to discover how to build the emotional durability that makes all the difference when life gets relentless.
We're going live.
No. We'll do it live.
This is the Come On Man podcast. And here's your host, Paul Bauer.
Thank God it's Friday. Am I right, fellas? It's been one hell of a week, man. One hell of a week. Definitely one that's tested my emotional durability. I'll tell you that, which that's what we're going to be talking about today. If you are new to the channel, my name is Paul Bauer, and I help men level up and get better with women. And the funny thing about doing that is it tends to make us better men in all areas of our lives. And today we're going to go over chapter 5 in my friend AJ's book on emotional durability. It's the essential skills of a masculine presence, psychology, emotion. And chapter 5 is all about the difference between emotional resilience and emotional durability. And AJ's book is book 3 in the essential skills of a masculine presence series that RP Thor, thought up. It's his mastermind project. And if you guys didn't know, I too have a book in the series. It's called Psychology Paradigm. And all these books really go hand in hand. They all work together. So I recommend getting all the books in that series. If you just go to Amazon and do a search for the essential skills of a masculine presence, you're going to find all the 3 books that are available right now. I'll drop a link to it here in the chat. But before we get into AJ's stuff, do be sure to like, subscribe, and hit those notifications. I do have new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, no matter what. And if you guys are watching live right now, do sound off in the chat. I like hearing from you guys. And if you are getting value out of this content, consider sending a super chat. Just a ducat or two. Doesn't have to be a $500 super chat. But if you guys are feeling froggy, I'm not going to turn down a $500 super chat. I just don't expect that. But if you guys send a $10 super chat, you get a bouncing Tata's video. And if you guys send a $20 super chat, you get the shaking booty video. Y'all know what I'm about. All right. So we're going to go through chapter 5, but I'm not going to read it to you because I really do want you guys to get these books. And so I'm just going to go over the concepts here. But the first concept is emotional resilience versus emotional durability. Like, what's the difference, right? So resilience, it's more about bouncing back from adversity, right? You get knocked down, but you get up again, right? While durability is about enduring prolonged stress without breaking down. Like you can handle it. You know what I mean? Like think of an old crusty, sergeant major in the army that's just seen like all the crap. He's been fighting wars for like forever. He's seen it all. He's seen his friend's legs blown off, and he's just emotionally durable, because he's seen it and he's not fazed by it anymore. We can only strive to get to that level of detachment. So a metaphor that AJ uses in the book is resilience is kind of like a spring that returns to its shape after being compressed, right? It's pushed down and then it bounces back, right? While a durability is like an oak tree that stands firm, right? It might move on a windy day, but it'll never break. Okay. So that's a metaphor that AJ uses. Now, both qualities are essential because resilience helps you recover quickly, but durability sustains you during prolonged adversity, right? Man, and it's such an important thing to develop. It's I was thinking about this week, right? Because if you guys tuned in on Wednesday was hard for me, but my dog passed away, right? And so one of the things that I was thinking about, because I knew I had to talk about emotional durability, this week. I was like, am I being emotionally durable, or am I at least being emotionally resilient? And I'd like to think I am, and I was, because no matter what, I still did what I had to do this week. Like if you guys are in beer club and you guys are in the fitness accountability group, like I didn't skip a day working out. I still went and did my workouts. I didn't use that adversity as an excuse to not go do my workouts. In fact, even on Monday, like Monday was the day I had to go take her to go get put down. Right. And that morning I was like, I have to go run. Right. And so I went and did my run. I did my total gym workout. I did all that kind of stuff in the morning. Because I knew her appointment was in the afternoon. And then after the appointment, so after it was over, I had a podcast recording. So I was a guest on a guy's podcast. So I had to go do that. I went and took that and did that. Actually did pretty good on that podcast. I think that should be coming out in the end of February. And then right after the podcast, I had a breakthrough call. Right. So I had a guy who was, needed help with his relationship. And so I showed up for that. Like I didn't use this as an excuse. And I think some people that haven't built up that emotional, at least resilience, they crumble, right? They just like, they call out sick from work, and they just lay in their bed all day, and they wrap up in a blanket, and they just it's like, no, man, like, yeah, you're going to have emotions. We're not robots here, but you gotta push past it and still do what you need to do. Does that make sense? Okay. So differentiating resilience and durability is the next concept. So resilience is short-term recovery, while durability is long-term endurance, right? You're just constantly in the suck. So then you have response versus stability. So resilience responds to isolated incidents, while durability ensures composure through persistent challenges, right? I'm trying to think of a time where I just had like just one crap storm after the other. I can't think of a time, except for maybe in the military. In the military, they do this kind of stuff to us because when we're getting ready to go on deployments, we go on these like training exercises where we're out for a week, we're in for a weekend, out for a week, right? And we call them workups, like workup cycles. And during those workup periods where you're out for a week, you're literally just doing like 5 general quarters drills a day, and you're not getting any sleep. And it's like that for an entire week, right? Like that's a time in my life where you sort of have to develop a little bit of emotional durability during that time, and otherwise you're going to crack under the pressure, right? But that's the reason why they do that. They do that to get you that habit, get you into that muscle memory of being able to handle crappy situations, because in a wartime situation, it's going to be like 3 times worse than that, right? So a practical example. So a resilient person bounces back from losing a job. Okay. You lose a job. Yeah, it sucks. You bounce back from that. While a durable person endures years of financial hardship with steadfastness. I was talking to, who was I talking to about this the other day? I think it might've been one of my clients. And we were talking about how we're the kind of guys, like I would never be out of work, even if I had to like go get a job at Home Depot for a little bit, you know what I mean? Like I would still have some kind of income coming in, but there's guys who like, they'll lose their, let's say they're, software developer. They lose their software development job, and they can't find another job because it's a very competitive market. So they just sit there unemployed for like 2 years, feeling sorry for themselves. I'm like pride doesn't pay the bills, man. Like I would go and get some kind of menial job, something to keep the bills paid, to keep food on the table or whatever. And I'm not above doing that kind of thing, But so I don't understand these guys who are like, they're unemployed for like years at a time. I just can't fathom this. I don't know. Maybe if any of you guys have been in that spot, like explain it to me in the comments. Right. All right. Before we go on, guys, do follow me on social media. The links, hit that like button, subscribe, all that stuff. But I meant to hit this. Follow me on social media. The links are in the description. Get on the email list. Get the free ebook if you haven't done so already. She's Made You Weak. Besides the ebook, I've also been sending out daily tips on how to improve your relationship over time. So that by itself is a value add. So get that, and then get the daily tips emails. And then if you get the ebook, which talks about the betaization process, I really expand upon it and get her to, we're past the 8-minute mark, Get Her to Fuck You Again, which is my latest book. But if you go to books.comeonmanpod.com, you can find all my books. They're available in Amazon, on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, and hardcover. And they're also available in on Audible. All three of my books are available on Audible now. RP Thor did the narration for my first book, Everything I Wish I Knew When I Was 18. But I did the narration for the last two books. And Get Her to Fuck You Again just became available this week in audio. So let me play a commercial for my book, and then we'll get back to AJ's book here in a minute. There it is.
Are you tired of the dead bedroom? Wondering what happened to the passion, the connection, and the spark? Well, here's your answer. Introducing Get Her to Fuck You Again, a red pill guide to fix a dead bedroom, now on Amazon. This isn't about manipulation or tricks. It's about real strategies that work. If your wife has stopped being intimate with you, it's not because the love is gone. It's because the attraction is gone. And that's fixable. This book will teach you the skills to lead your marriage, rebuild your confidence, and become the man she can't stop thinking about. 3 reasons to get this book. 1. It breaks the cycle. You'll learn how to stop doing the same things that are killing her attraction and start doing the things that reignite it. 2. It's practical and proven. With clear, actionable steps, you'll build yourself into the man you were always meant to be. 3. It works for men like you. Paul Bauer has helped hundreds of men just like you fix their dead bedrooms. And now, it's your turn. Don't let another day go by feeling frustrated and disconnected. Go to Amazon right now and buy Get Her to Fuck You Again. Read it, apply it, and watch your marriage transform. The connection isn't gone forever. You just need the roadmap to get it back. And this book is it.
All right. What do we got here? Nurse Chick's in the house. She says, "Good morning, gentlemen. Thank God it's Friday." Yes, indeed, babe.
I'm so naughty.
Yes, you are.
I'm gonna come.
Yeah, yes, I will. Let's see. Wade's in the house. Hey, good morning, Wade. Good to see you, man. And the Tim's in the house. One hell of a week. It absolutely has been. CW. Morning, gents and Nurse Chick. Great meetup last night, Beer Club. Yes, we had our January meetup last night in Beer Club, and it was a good turnout. It's always a good turnout. I always like talking to those guys. And then we got a new sign up last night in the middle, and he hopped on the call, and I said, "Hey, man, introduce yourself," and he didn't. But that's okay. Sometimes guys just tune into the calls and then just lurk in there. They just like to listen. Like, okay, fine. It's fine. All right. The next concept here is cultivating emotional durability, right? So having a clear purpose provides motivation and direction during tough times. Man, how many of you guys have ever thought about having a purpose? Like, what's your purpose? What's your mission in life? You know, a man's got to have a mission in life. Sometimes that mission in life is to just be the best version of yourself and always be leveling up, you know, like reading books like this, you know, sometimes that's your mission. So I like to say that we don't have just one mission, you know, like we often have a bunch of side missions. And sometimes when you're missing something, right? Like you need to complete this side mission before you can continue on with the greater mission. I like to look at chasing tail that way. Because there's a lot of guys out there, they want to be in like a loving, committed relationship, but they have to go out in the dating circuit and go find a chick first, right? So that mission in that period of time is to level up and get better in the dating circuit and get those reps in and start practicing dating and actually getting good at that sort of thing, so you can actually attract the right kind of girl. And then once you get that girl, like, now the mission is to never stop working never stop working on your sexual market value, right? That's how you put investment into the relationship, by working on yourself as a man. Women put investment in the relationship by serving men, Oh, Paul, that's a misogynistic thing to say, but it's fucking true. So that's a mission, right? That's one of your many little missions in life. And then your another mission might be your job and getting better at your career and always leveling up and trying to move to that next rung in the ladder. That might be a mission. It could be that you're really passionate about helping the homeless or something, right? And so you volunteer on the weekends and you go make food at food kitchens or whatever, and that's a mission for you. Like whatever it is, like, you got to have a passion in life that drives you. I have a client, one of my clients right now. He's never even thought about that. He's sort of like, life's always just sort of happened to him. And so on one of the weeks, we sit down and think about, hey, what's your mission? Like, create a mission statement for yourself. That's why I'd say at the beginning of the podcast, like, I help men level up and get better with women. That's sort of been my mission statement for several years now. Let's see here. So having a clear purpose, right? Focusing on finding solutions instead of dwelling on problems. That's another thing that'll help you during have emotional durability, right? Like, a lot of people wallow in, like, why they can't do stuff or why they shouldn't do stuff or whatever, how everything's possible, or they just really focus in on the problem instead of focusing on solutions to the problem, So if you shift that mindset into being more of a problem solver, like, okay, yeah, it sucks right now. Like, he used the example of being out of work, right? Well, what's the solution here? Well, I could go get a job at Home Depot until I find a better job, right? And then habits. So developing consistent routines like exercise and mindfulness to strengthen emotional foundations. That's good too. Because that kind of stuff develops discipline. And if you have good discipline, that discipline where you have to do something no matter what, that'll get you through some of the tough times, right? That's one of the things that got me through this week, was just being disciplined and knowing I had certain things I had to do, and I just did them anyway, right? I didn't feel like doing half the shit this week, but I still did it. Building mental toughness. So you want to try to set some challenging goals for yourself, right? Set and pursue ambitious objectives to push your limits. That's how we challenge our self-limiting beliefs too, right? We got to step outside our comfort zone and actually, like, try to push past that stuff and see and test our self-limiting beliefs to see if it's true or not, And you got to embrace discomfort a little bit. You got to embrace the suck, is what AJ says. You got to embrace, he doesn't say embrace the suck in the book, but he says you got to embrace discomfort. I say embrace the suck. Growth occurs when you face and overcome challenges outside of your comfort zone. That just builds natural confidence too. Like, when you do something that you didn't think you could do and you push past that, man, it's a good feeling. That really boosts your confidence. I did that with Tough Mudder, man. I went and did Tough Mudder, and I was looking at some of the obstacles going, geez, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that. And I did all the obstacles. I didn't bypass any of the obstacles. And when I got done with that course, I was exhausted, but man, I felt like I'd really accomplished something, Building mental toughness is the next concept here. Let's see here. Did we say that one already? Or did I skip through? What did we say here? No, we're still there. So growth occurs when you face to overcome. Yeah, so we're still on that same one. Balance independence with healthy connections to avoid emotional isolation. Oh, that's two. So he has so he talks about avoid counter dependence. So balance your independence with healthy connections. So that's where, like, I think what he's getting at there is a lot of us have this concept of being like a lone wolf, right? Like, no one, like, we can't go to anybody, right? We have to bottle all this stuff up. And that's not that's not good. Like your emotions have to come out somehow. Right. So, you can still be an independent guy, but still it's good to have a good group of dudes to go to. Right. And that's what beer club's all about. And that's why, like, we had our meetup last night. That's exactly what beer club's about. Um, and that's a good outlet for that. And there's lots of options, especially in the red pill space. There's lots of options available for stuff like that, right? Like Thor's got his Dragons membership. I think MLD has his Men's Empowerment Network. Paul Benjamin has a school group that you could join. There's lots of different ways to connect with like-minded men in this space. Speaking of beer club, guys, consider joining beer club. Like I said before, it's a good group of dudes, but it's also just a great place to connect with other men, swap ideas. If you ever like run into adversity and you need help with something, like the beer club guys are there. If you live in a bigger city, chances are there's going to be a guy in beer club that's close to you too. So if you guys ever want to meet up in person and go have some beers and talk shop or whatever, it's a good place to network with other guys. For a while there, we had like 3 guys in the Ohio area. Like they were all like getting together like once a month or something like that, like off on their own and actually meeting up in person. So it's just a good group of dudes. And man, some guy on X is like, I don't understand how having a bunch of guys looking at scantily clad women is going to help them with their relationships and stuff. It's like, well, one, we don't do that. There's just a hot chick on the cover because I'm a misogynist, right? Like, it's just guys talking and stuff like that, though. But still, anyway, prudes. I think the guy was like one of those Christian white pillar guys. And then, guys, if you're having relationship problems and you need one-on-one help with it, and like you've read all the books and you just can't figure out how to apply that in your situation, book a free call with me, okay? Go to call.fixdeadbedrooms.com, and that's exactly what I help guys do. I haven't got my latest client. So like I said, on Monday, like after my dog passed away, I enrolled a new client, and this gentleman, he's not really in a dead bedroom situation. He needs more help with his relationship, and namely, he needs more help with like emotional durability and handling shit tests and being able to like handle conflict better in his relationship, right? So like I mean, there's a lot of guys in dead bedroom situations, but don't think that I can't help you with your relationship if you don't have a dead bedroom. Like, actually, it would be great if you didn't have a dead bedroom, right? Like that would be the worst, right? But if you're fighting with your wife all the time and you want to not fight with her anymore, I can show you how to do this. I can show you how to have your peace in a relationship in a way that your wife also gets that dopamine hit. Oh man, let's see here. CW says, when you go through the obstacles in the mutters race, that's a great example of embracing the suck. Yeah. Oh, have you ever done that? CW, have you ever done a mutters race? Because that would be interesting. I don't think we've talked about that before. But yeah, those obstacles, I mean, Jesus Christ. Yeah, you're going through you're literally going through like mud and stuff. You're climbing through it. It's gross. It's like got other people's like sweat and body parts in it. Nasty. I heard of man, when I was getting ready to go into that, someone was telling me how you should wear leggings, right? Leggings and like arm like I was wearing these like arm sleeve things, right? Because when you're going through the mud, like you get scraped up, one, like on your knees and your legs and stuff. And then people actually get MRSA infections and stuff because you're going through all this slime and muck, like with other people's crap in it and stuff. And so it's really easy to get bacterial infections in an environment like that. So they're like, yeah. So if you ever watch like videos from a couple of years ago when I did that, like I had these like leggings on and sleeves on to avoid getting, MRSA when I was doing the obstacles. Anyway. All right, the next concept here is the role of emotional intelligence, and women say it all the time. Oh man, I just want a man that's emotionally intelligent. And what what a lot of guys don't understand about that is that doesn't mean that she wants you to be an emotional dude. It means that she wants you to be able to handle her emotions and not climb on her emotional roller coaster, right? That's what that means. So you got to understand and manage your own emotions to maintain composure in like when you're dealing with the whammon, you know. You got to actively listen and understand other people's perspectives to strengthen relationships. That's Paul Benjamin talks about that as like tactical empathy, and I talk about tactical empathy in get her to fuck you again quite a bit. It's funny, like some of these, if you read some of the Amazon reviews, they're all everyone's giving me good reviews, but there's a theme there where they're like, yeah, it's kind of repetitive. It repeats itself a lot. It's like, well, yeah, because repetition is the mother of skill. I want to beat this shit into your brain. Okay, so there's a method to my madness, even if it annoys the filthy casuals out there. So a practical application: use emotional intelligence for effective leadership and conflict resolution. That's going to help you. I was talking to one of my clients about this week. I was saying, hey, you could use these tactics not just with your wife. You could use this, like, because he was talking about how his mom, he has this sort of interesting relationship with his mom because his mom's kind of a histrionic. And she's also a hoarder and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, dude, you could use all these same tactics on your mom. You can use all these tactics in business, like all these tactics that we learn to get better with women. Like you can use it in all areas of your life. It'll actually help you everywhere, Leadership and emotional durability. So leaders must remain calm and composed to inspire confidence in their teams. Think about that, man. Like if you are supposed to be the boss and you are cracking under pressure, do you think your team is going to trust your ability to lead? No. Think about it. If you had a boss at work and like shit hit the fan and your boss like, just totally like shit himself and like didn't know how to handle the crisis and stuff like that, you would be like, oh my God, like how are you the boss? You sort of expect someone in that leadership position to be able to handle the shitstorms that come, right? How do they lead you through this dynamic? Well, that's your job in the relationship. Like you have to be that emotionally durable guy because your wife is looking at you to lead her and the family through adversity in life, right? So you got to develop that calm and composed, sort of mental state under pressure. Consistency under pressure. So durable leaders maintain their vision and strength despite ongoing stress. Some historical examples. So this is actually kind of interesting. So he uses figures. He talks about a bunch of different people in the book, but three of them specifically. He talks about Winston Churchill, Steve Jobs, and Nelson Mandela, and how they were leaders through adversity, and they had to be emotionally durable to get through those times. So Winston Churchill, he was it the prime minister during World War II in Great Britain. So during World War II, Churchill's he had an unwavering strength and composure inspiring the British people to endure hardships. And like, man, the British people during World War II were getting bombed. The Germans were like, can you imagine, like in the United States, like we've never been invaded, right? The closest thing that we've had to an invasion is probably Pearl Harbor, right? And even then it was an attack. They didn't try to like invade us or anything like that. Like we really haven't had to endure a lot of attacks, not since like the War of 1812 or something like that, right? Or so we don't really have to, it's hard for us to fathom, another country like flying overhead, bombing our houses and stuff, right? But that happened in World War II to the people of England. Can you imagine that for a second? So you're the prime minister and you've got to be the leader of the country and get people to like help them through that hardship, right? And so Churchill, he famously declared, never give up, which embodied resilience and durability in the face of adversity. AJ writes about Steve Jobs, and he talks about his resilience to setbacks. So Steve Jobs built Apple, he built Apple, but then he was ousted. He was ousted from Apple. They brought him back later, but he was originally like fired as the CEO of the company that he helped create, which happens a lot. That happens a lot. Like people will build a business and then they will go public with it, or they'll bring in venture capitalists, and the venture capitalists will basically create a board, and they'll vote you out of your own company that you started. It happens all the time. But Jobs, he showcased durability by founding NEXT and Pixar, turning failures into stepping stones for future successes, right? So he didn't just like, oh crap, they ousted me from my company. He's like, all right, I'm going to go do something else now. He built 2 other like big companies, right? And then he returned to Apple with a fresh vision, leading the company to revolutionize technology with the iPod, iPhone, iPad, all that kind of stuff, right? He totally came back. And then Nelson Mandela. Now this is interesting. Do you guys, like, conspiracy theory wise, do you guys have heard of the Mandela effect, right? So I remember when Nelson Mandela was released from prison. Like, I didn't know who this guy was until he was released from prison. And then he like became the president of South Africa or something like that, right? And so that's what I remember. But there's people that remember that no, Nelson Mandela died in prison, right? So there's like these 2 different timelines that people remember, and like this, it's like almost like the timelines have merged. And so there's this conspiracy theory that like what the scientists are doing with at CERN, the Large Hadron Collider, that they somehow broke space-time, and so some people have memories that other people don't have and stuff, and they call that the Mandela effect. I think it's nonsense, but whatever. So Nelson Mandela, he turned adversity into purpose. So this is my timeline, right? Where I remember him getting out of prison. He spent 27 years in prison, but emerged with a vision to unite a divided nation. He demonstrated emotional durability by enduring prolonged suffering without losing sight of his ultimate goal, which was to end the practice of apartheid. And then he maintained a calm, composed demeanor, inspiring trust and hope amongst his supporters. Man, can you imagine that? Being in prison for 27 years only to come out and then like become president? Like, man, it's hard to fathom something like that. Oh man, guys, if you have any questions, don't be afraid to send a super chat or 2. Let's see here. Some bosses climb the ladder in different ways. Yeah, female bosses. They climb the ladder by getting on their knees sometimes. Oh, Paul, you're such a misogynist. I am. 7 challenges. So this is the next concept here. Challenges in developing durability. So internal doubts. Have you ever heard of the term imposter syndrome? I just saw a video the other day talking about how some of the most successful people are like, they all suffer from imposter syndrome. In fact, successful people suffer from imposter syndrome more than the average person does. So this guy was saying like students at Harvard, they suffer from imposter syndrome more than people that go to like a state university. People that are like CEOs of major companies, they tend to have an imposter syndrome more than your average employee does. It's kind of interesting. But you got to overcome imposter syndrome and self-doubt by focusing on your past successes, which is funny that AJ writes about this in his book, because my man AJ, God bless him, he has imposter syndrome about his book. When I first introduced this book series, I introduced him as an expert on emotional durability. I mean, he literally wrote the fucking book on it. Right. And he's like, oh, I don't know, I'm not an expert. And I'm like, you wrote a book on it, dude. You can't write a book unless you're a fucking expert. Everyone knows that. So, but he just has this sort of like self-limiting belief that, I don't know, like, I don't know that much about it. It's like, dude, your book is fucking good. Like, would you shut the fuck up for a minute and just, let me fluff you here? So anyway, so it's funny that he talks about overcoming imposter syndrome when he himself has like sort of imposter syndrome about his book, even though it's a really goddamn good book. External pressure. You got to set boundaries to navigate societal and relational expectations without compromising your well-being. Burnout. You got to recognize and address signs of exhaustion through self-care and delegation. Man, I was getting so burnt out from my, back in the day when I was doing like IT, right? There was days when, like, especially working from home, especially when I first started working from home. Okay. Like when I first started working from home, it was a very scary experience for me because one, I'd never worked from home before. Two, when they first they agreed to let me work from home, they put me on a 90-day probationary period to see if it would even work out. And so I was just constantly like, oh shit, like I have to make this work or they're going to fire me. And then I ended up out here in the cow pasture where there's like no IT jobs. So I was like, if they fire me, like, where am I going to go work? So I was just constantly like afraid of losing the job. And so I would end up working my fucking ass off. I'd basically work, 17-hour days and stuff, just knocking stuff out, just always monitoring stuff, always being available, like working late into the night, getting up early, pulling all-nighters, doing all this kind of shit. And I was really getting burnt out. And so one of the things I had to do was I noticed that people would just they would just schedule meetings with me at like various, like all hours of the day. And I would just jump at it. And I finally had to set that boundary and block off time on my calendar my calendar just has time on it that's blocked off as work-life balance. Right. And I have it set as I'm out of office. And so when people like try to book times during those times, I decline them. I go, no, I'm unavailable at that time. And I set that boundary. And it's like, it's actually okay to do that. There's no reason to have to fucking get up and be at a 5 o'clock meeting when you don't typically start until, 9 a.m. Pacific time. It's like, yeah, I get it. All you East Coasters think that everyone's operating on East Coast time. But when you work for a company that's in California, like we're 4 hours behind you. Like, no, I'm not going to be at a meeting at 6 a.m. for you. Fuck off. So anyway. But anyway, burnout. So you got to recognize when you're being burnt out. Like when you're, you can't mentally take this anymore. You have to be able to like take a step back from things. And, when you're a boss and you're doing everything for everybody else, you got to realize you're not being an effective boss that way, right? You've got to learn how to delegate more and trust people to do their job. And you have to be okay with letting them fail a little bit too, that otherwise they're never going to grow, if you're always doing shit for them. The next concept here is balancing expectations and self-care. So balance responsibilities with personal health and rest. Make sure you're not just working yourself into an early grave, right? One thing that my ex-wife used to say, which I don't quote her very much, but every once in a while she would have some gems, but she would say like, no one was on their deathbed going, I wish I worked more. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's interesting. People will work themselves to death and they'll do that working for someone else. You know what I mean? Like as an employee, they'll work themselves to death. And you got to realize that your employer like will replace you the next day if you get hit by a bus tonight. You get hit by a bus, your employer, like, they might go, oh, that sucks. But your job, your position is going to be on Monster like the next morning. You know what I mean? Like they will replace you. So people like are killing themselves in these jobs that, you're making someone else rich. Now, if you have your own job, like, or your own business, like I have my coaching business and my, the podcast and all that kind of stuff. This is my business. Like you'll find that you end up working quite a bit because you're the only one. When you're the only one, you have a lot of shit to do, and so you end up doing a lot of work. But for me, this kind of stuff isn't work. Like I fucking love doing this, so it doesn't feel like work for me. So I don't really get that burnt out. And then, but if I get tired, I just, take some time. I go, you know what? I'm not going to do this today. Like Monday, for instance, I didn't do a whole lot of like podcast work. I did the podcast in the morning. I cut my clips for the day. And then I, for the rest of the day, I took that time off so I could, go on my run, go work out, and then spend the rest of the day with my dog, Daily practices, incorporate mindfulness, exercise, and relaxation into your routine. All that kind of stuff's going to help you, with your mental state, like going for a run. It really helps me. It's very therapeutic for me, right? I can actually like process things. I can think about stuff while I'm out there. Any kind of problem I ever have, I almost always come up with a solution when I'm out running, just because my mind's just grinding away at it. And it's like, oh, I have these like epiphanies and stuff when I'm out there. But, like this week, like I said, it was a very, very hard week because of my dog. Just being out there by myself, running, like gave me a lot of time to process those emotions, avoid neglect. Consistently focus on self-care to sustain long-term emotional strength, right? That's good. Oh, CW just got me demonetized. Okay, so $5 super chat from Beer Club Brother CW. America today, overworked and underpaid. Keep up on your mental health and avoid burnout. Beer Club is a great stress relief. Get in it. Yes, it really is. It's a great place for that. And then because he is a Beer Club Brother, he gets bumped up to the $10 super chat video.
Thank you for the super chats. Movies bouncing, can't stop that. From the east to the west, viewers, you are the best. Keep those chats coming in, let's do it all again.
All right. All right. So the last concept here is long-term benefits of emotional durability. So there's a leadership impact here. Having that emotional durability as a leader, that inspires trust and creates a reliable presence in personal and professional settings, right? We talked about that a little bit. If you can be cool under pressure, people will trust your ability to lead, right? And that's one of the reasons why guys really need to work on that emotional control, that emotional resilience, that emotional durability in their relationship, because your wife needs that. She needs you to be her rock, right? It doesn't work the other way around. Your wife can't be your rock. She's going to look at you like you're weak if you can't handle your own shit, right? We can't always handle our own shit. That's where like places like Beer Club are good, right? Or getting a therapist or having a coach, right? That kind of stuff will help you during those times, and you don't have to burden your wife with that sort of thing, right? And then she's going to better trust your ability to lead, right? It'll enhance your decision making because having that emotional sort of control will allow you to think sort of more clearly and rationally, right? Because you're not going to be so caught up in your emotions. You're going to be able to take a step back and think about things clearly and make good decisions, right? Which is important, especially in times of crisis and stuff. Which reminds me, like tomorrow we're going to be talking about prepping because what's his name? Huds from the Dragon Ship wanted to do an episode about the LA fires. And so I was like, what? And he was talking about, he wanted to do an episode on brotherhood and how it's good to have a support system. I'm like, I swear to God, we talk about brotherhood all the fucking time on the Dragon Ship, dude. Like, let's talk about ways that we could prep, right? Like, have people prepared for disaster, because disaster can strike at any time. If you're prepared for stuff, like you're able to better make decisions in a crisis because you're prepared for it, right? It actually will give you some confidence during a time of crisis if you're prepared for it. There's a reason to be prepared, and it's not about being paranoid. It's about, having stuff in place because anything can happen at any time, It's not tinfoil hat to be a prepper. It's not. It's fucking practical because look, fucking fires happen, right? And then stronger relationships, right? Having this emotional durability builds trust and respect through consistent support and conflict resolution. Like you'll find that once you learn this stuff, you have good emotional control. You learn how to communicate from a position of leadership. you can avoid conflict. You never really have to get into a serious fight with your wife ever again, right? That's the biggest thing. A lot of guys are tiptoeing around trying to avoid conflict at all cost. But when they learn how to handle that conflict, like from a position of a leader, like you'll find that there's not much conflict there, you know. Get my book. It really talks about that, all that kind of stuff. All right, guys, that's all we got for this episode. A little bit of a shorter episode today, which is fine. Right after this, I have to go pick up my girl's ashes. She's ready, and then I got to run some errands before I, hit the ground running today. But so leaving a little bit early is going to be good for me. Tune into Rule Zero tomorrow. I don't know who is. Actually, I do know who's hosting. It's going to be Cappy. And Cappy wants to talk about the possible TikTok ban, right? Are you guys, if you guys heard about the TikTok ban, I have a lot of friends that are creators on TikTok, and they are like deathly afraid of this TikTok ban. They're like, oh shit, I think it's actually happening this time. Oh my God. Like, what's your plan, man? I'm like, dude, I've been full on banned. Like, look, fuck TikTok. TikTok's banned me. Right? I've been full on banned from TikTok before. My current account is under a massive shadow ban right now. I'm only getting double-digit views. I have almost 30,000 followers on that fucking app, and I'm getting double-digit views. Fuck off, TikTok. So that app could go to straight to fucking hell. I don't care, right? I started diversifying myself on other platforms years ago because that fucking app has been fucking me over so bad, right? I have my biggest followings on Facebook, right? I have like 57,000 followers on Facebook. I have almost 30,000 followers here on YouTube. Like, I don't need TikTok. Fuck TikTok, right? Anyway, that's going to be fun to talk about tomorrow with Cappy on his channel. Tune into that. And then tune into Dragon Ship right after. I'm hosting that. We're going to be talking about the importance of being prepared during emergencies, like I said. That's going to be fun, man, because when I lived in San Diego, I lived through 2 major wildfires that shut down that city. And then we also had a major power outage in 2011 that took out all of Southern California. And so, like, I've lived through some of these emergencies. COVID, my dad calls me up when COVID happened, right? And they announced that they were shutting down everything, and they're, you're only going to be allowed to go outside for exercise and recreation or something, right? And my dad calls me up. He goes, "You better have lots of guns and ammo on hand and all this stuff." And I was like, "Dad, finally!" Like, I've been prepping for years. I have all this storable food. I had like tons of toilet paper and shit. I have tons of ammo. I was like, "Bring it!" Like, I'm ready for the apocalypse. And man, what a fucking letdown. Like, COVID was such a fucking nothing burger, dude. It was, especially out here in the cow pasture. Like, no one gave a shit out here, dude. It was, I was like, man, like, can we have a real disaster? Like, can we have a real emergency? Like, come on, man. So that's gonna be good. Tune into Dragon Ship. And then Monday, I'll be talking about a married red pill post from a guy named OK Independence. He gave a marriage update after 8 years of applying red pill praxeology in his marriage. And his advice after 8 years is pretty solid. So check that out. That's going to be a fun episode. I'm just going to go through his list of things that helped him in his marriage and turn his dynamic around. Let's see here. We've got, let's see. God bless bouncing bwubs. Yes, indeed. Wade says, thanks. Yeah, you're welcome, man. And then let's see here. Haven't been a fan of TikTok for a while. I could care less if they get same. Yeah. They were talking about banning TikTok before. Enjoy the cave. Yeah. I put out a video yesterday saying how, like, this isn't new. They were talking about banning it a couple of years ago, and it ended up being a one big nothing burger, right? Well, I think it's going to be the same thing. It's going to be one big fucking nothing burger. Although I did see a post saying that Elon Musk might buy it. Like X might buy out TikTok and make it an American company, like a full-on American company. And I was like, that'd be cool. Like, if Elon took over TikTok, it might actually be a good fucking app, because he turned Twitter around. Like, Twitter's actually a good fucking app. I can't figure out how to grow on Twitter, but it's a fun app. You get more free speech on there, which is important. All right. Although, man, I swear to God, like or not TikTok, but Twitter has gotten pretty fucking racist, like legit racist since Elon like sort of said, "Hey, free speech." And so like it's weird. Like I'll watch a video on X and then I'll flip up and the next video is all about like hating on the like Jews. like for whatever reason, like everyone's hating on they're either hating on Jewish people or they're hating on Indians right at the moment. And I'm just like, Jesus Christ, man, so bad. I just start laughing at it though. Like I'm not offended by any of that kind of stuff. I'm like, whatever. I think if on an app like X, if something really offends you, you have a block button. You know what I mean? Like you don't need them to police what you see, right? Like you could police the shit that you see yourself. Like there's no reason to have fucking internet police like that. But still, it's pretty funny. All right, guys, that's all I got. I don't see any more super chats here. So I will see you guys tomorrow on Rule 0.
This has been the Come On Man podcast. Now, go out and get it.